Welcome home. Nice to meet you, I'm Megan. The day I returned home after being away for a week due to work. There was a woman I didn't know smirking at me as if provoking me, waiting for my return. Upon closer inspection, the woman who introduced herself as Megan had a large, swollen belly, indicating that she was pregnant, and the father of the child in her womb was my husband, Ryan. Since you weren't coming back for a while, I had Megan come over. Megan's belly is already big, and I gotta be with her 'cause I'm worried, you know? While I was away from home for work, my husband had brought his pregnant mistress into our home and was living with her. She's due any day now. So, you and Lisa need to get out of this house soon. It's over, we're getting a divorce. Ryan said to me coldly, looking at me with contemptuous eyes and laughing. I was thoroughly fed up with my husband, who suddenly appeared with his mistress and was making selfish demands. I, who had been silent the whole time, quietly opened my mouth. Hey, what have you been saying? We're already divorced. Lisa and I started a new life together last week. Yeah, what are you talking about? Mom and I have been living together in a newly built high-rise condo since last week. Even after hearing my daughter and I's words, the two of them must have thought it was a joke and started laughing. Huh? What are you talking about? Did you hit your head or something? The two of them were laughing out loud, mocking us, but immediately after, the front door swung open with force and a person appeared. What? Why? The moment they saw the sudden visitor I had called, Ryan and Megan trembled and froze on the spot in shock and fear. My name is Sarah, and I work as a company employee. I was born and raised in the countryside of the Northeast, and when I entered university, I moved to New York City. After graduating from university, I got a job at a major advertising agency, which was my first choice. Working at the advertising agency I had always admired. I led a busy but fulfilling life every day. All of my coworkers were highly motivated and worked hard together. Rewarding work and blessed human relationships. I was very lively back then. While working at that advertising agency, I met Ryan, who worked at a client company. Ryan and I were close in age and it didn't take long for us to hit it off. Ryan was serious about his work, but when I talked to him in depth, he was bright, had many hobbies, and was very knowledgeable. Naturally, our conversations flowed, and before I knew it, I was gradually drawn to Ryan. Looking back now, Ryan had a charm that attracted people. Perhaps Ryan was also interested in me, because he asked me out to dinner. After seeing each other a few times, we naturally started dating. Since we both wanted to get married, things progressed smoothly and we got married a few years later. I continued working after getting married, but the following year, I became pregnant and decided to quit my job. It would be a lie to say that I had no regrets about quitting my job. I loved my job and had planned to continue working even after getting married. However, since I had been promoted to the position of director and was responsible for bringing everyone together, I couldn't let everyone down. Maybe after completing a big project, I myself had also started to feel burned out. I was also anxious about whether I could balance work with childcare, as it was my first time. I thought that since I was pregnant, I would take a break from work for a while and focus on raising my child. Ryan agreed with me quitting my job. When we were single, I was busier than Ryan and often came home late. When Ryan saw me looking busy, he didn't seem too happy about it. Ryan probably didn't want me to work too much deep down. After getting married, we rented a new home and started our new life together. I gave birth without any issues and our daughter Lisa was born. However, 6 months after Lisa was born, we suddenly started living with Ryan's parents. Ryan's parents lived near us as a couple, but they were much older than my parents and had chronic illnesses. Ryan was worried about his parents and suddenly proposed that we live together. Since the topic of living together had never come up before we got married, I had never even considered that I would end up living with my in-laws. I wasn't thrilled about it, but given the reason, I couldn't refuse, and we moved into Ryan's parents' house with Lisa. After we started living together, I was overwhelmed with taking care of Lisa and caring for my in-laws. At first, there wasn't much caregiving, but my elderly in-laws' health deteriorated day by day, and they became unable to prepare their own meals or go out. I, as the daughter-in-law, had to take care of everything for my in-laws. Ryan, their son, didn't do anything around the house, using work as an excuse, and left all the housework and caregiving to me. Unaccustomed to caregiving and childcare, I was at my wit's end and had no choice but to ask Ryan for help. "Hey, Ryan. About your mother and father. It's hard for me to take both of them to the hospital by myself. Can't you come with me?" I said, asking Ryan for help. No matter how I looked at it, I had reached my limit doing it alone. However, Ryan never lent a hand even once. "If it's too much work to take them both, then take them on separate days. You're free every day anyway, so think about it." "I'm busy with work." He must have thought that I was free every day. Even though they were his own parents, he told me not to rely on him because he was working. I did all the housework by myself, and if I slacked off even a little, Ryan would point it out. "Hey, dinner is pre-made food today? You should appreciate me more for working my butt off. You're always trying to take the easy way out." He started complaining about the meals I prepared. The kind Ryan from before we got married was gone. It was as if I was the housekeeper of this house. Indeed, Ryan's work seemed to keep him busy every day. There were times when he came home late due to overtime, and he often brought work home. When he worked at home, he would get irritated if Lisa was noisy, so I often had to make Lisa put up with it so as not to upset Ryan. After working in his room, Ryan would silently place the papers he no longer needed near me. I guess it meant to throw them away. This person must really think of me as nothing more than a housekeeper. While being treated like that, I felt a sense of emptiness every day, but if I didn't do the housework, childcare, and caregiving, this house wouldn't function. I was so busy that I didn't even have time to think about anything else. One day, even though it was a holiday, Ryan seemed busy with work and was holed up in his room. On such a beautiful day, I would have liked to take Lisa out if possible, but I couldn't leave my in-laws who needed care. Moreover, I could hardly remember going out or traveling as a family of 3 since Lisa was born. I felt terrible for making Lisa put up with it since she was little. A few hours later, Ryan came out of his room looking irritated, perhaps because he had finished his work. Ryan always became more irritable than usual when he was busy with work. As always, he silently threw the papers he no longer needed in front of me as if discarding them. Does this person think of me as a trash can or something? Desperately suppressing the urge to say something out of frustration, I collected the papers. A few days later, Ryan came home from work earlier than usual and came to me in a hurry, saying this as soon as he opened his mouth. "Hey, where did you put those papers from the other day?" "Huh? The papers from the other day? You mean the work papers you brought? If it's those, I threw them away together on garbage day yesterday." I answered in a small voice, surprised because Ryan was speaking so loudly. "What did you do? You did something unnecessary," he yelled at me. "But, don't you always bring me papers to throw away? Those were to be disposed of too, right? When did I tell you to throw them away? I never asked you to do that. Don't mess around." He yelled at me and left the room. Perhaps some important papers had gotten mixed in with the ones to be thrown out. Ryan couldn't seem to give up and went to his workroom, frantically searching through piles of papers by himself. It was his own mistake, but he blamed everything on me and got angry on his own. I was just dumbfounded at being blamed one-sidedly. Seeing this side of Ryan, my heart had completely detached from him. This incident triggered Ryan's overbearing attitude to escalate even further. He kept saying unreasonable things, and if anything unpleasant happened, it was all the fault of me, his wife. If I made the slightest mistake, he would exaggerate it and mock me. "You really are useless. Since you don't work outside or contribute to society, at least be useful to your family." He seemed to be using me as an outlet for his stress. At some point after we got married, Ryan had started looking down on me. growing up watching Ryan's attitude up close and sensing it despite being a child. Lisa had come to detest her father Ryan by the time she entered high school. It may be common for teenage girls to dislike their fathers, but Lisa's dislike for her father was abnormally strong. No wonder. After all, Ryan had never done anything fatherly since Lisa was born. Usually the two of them hardly talked, but sometimes Lisa would speak up, unable to stand Ryan unilaterally berating me. Ryan seemed dissatisfied with Lisa's defiant attitude, and all his anger was directed at me. "It's because your parenting isn't good that Lisa has started taking that attitude with her parents. Daughters are just noisy. It's your fault for not being able to give birth to a male heir first. If you can't produce an heir, you're no different than a housekeeper." He mocked me, saying that for Ryan, anything inconvenient for him was all my fault. Is he saying it's my fault we weren't blessed with a boy? And Ryan must really see me as nothing more than a housekeeper. I was convinced of that when I heard Ryan's words. Lisa, now in high school, joined the basketball club that she had been in since elementary school and was leading a busy high school life. It was a powerhouse school for basketball, and she had admirably won a starting position. Lisa was often away from home for training camps and away games because she was busy with club activities. It was probably better for Lisa to have something she could be absorbed in outside of this house. I was cheering Lisa on from the shadows as she worked hard. I would do anything I could to support her. While thinking that, I was inwardly envious of Lisa for having something she could devote herself to. I also wanted a place for myself outside the home, like Lisa did. I wanted something I could put my all into. Watching Lisa made me start thinking about such things. Around that time, an old colleague coincidentally invited me out to eat. I was still in touch with my colleagues from when I worked at the advertising agency, and we got together frequently. When I talked with them, I could forget about home and have a good time. They had aged over the years, with some having left the company and others being promoted to executive positions. They had each walked their own paths, but they were all still working as lively as before, unchanged from back then. When I had a meal with them, I decided to report on my current situation and consult them about my future plans. I had always wanted to return to work someday, so I wanted my old friends to give me a push. Then, one of my former colleagues said they were looking for someone and wanted to hire me. The conditions were good, and I couldn't let this opportunity slip by. The conversation wrapped up in no time. The biggest obstacle to me going back to work was my in-laws, but my former colleague suggested trying to utilize nursing care services. With that advice, we decided to use long-term care insurance for my in-laws' care and utilize helper and daycare type services. Lisa was thrilled that I was going back to work. "Mom, you were a hard worker until you got married, right? That's so cool. You can do it, Mom. You've supported me so much until now. Let me know if there's anything I can do. I'll cheer you on. Let's do our best together." She said that to me. With Lisa's cooperation, despite the blank in my resume, I was able to face my work like I did when I was single. The company I joined was a new company that had been established just a few years ago, so the workload per person was far greater than before. Even so, I felt a sense of fulfillment in the work, as I was entrusted with a responsible position from the start. I had found a new place for myself too. When I was absorbed in my work, I could forget about the terrible treatment I received from Ryan and being treated like a housekeeper. Shortly after I joined the company, it entered a busy period. The work was busier than I had imagined, and I was unable to go home for about a week, leaving the house empty. This was the first time I had been away from home for such a long period. I was worried about things at home, but by not returning, I was able to focus on my work. When my work reached a good stopping point, I returned home for the first time in a week. Even though I had been away from home for a week, there wasn't a single contact from Ryan. There's no way Ryan, who only thinks about himself, would be worried about me. I returned home and unlocked the front door. In the entryway, there were women's shoes that didn't belong to me or Lisa. My in-laws should have been at a facility at this hour, but somehow I sensed the presence of people inside. As I was feeling an odd sense of discomfort, different from usual, I heard a man's voice that seemed to be Ryan's and an unfamiliar young woman's voice from inside the house. As I stood frozen in the entryway staring at the shoes, an unknown woman came out from inside. Realizing that I had come home, the woman smiled gleefully and said, "Welcome home. Ryan, the housekeeper is back." "Oh, you're back. I almost forgot what you looked like, it's been so long." The woman I had never seen before and Ryan looked at me with nasty smirks on their faces. "You shouldn't have come back. Since you weren't coming back for a while, I had Megan come over. Megan's belly is already big, and I gotta be with her 'cause I'm worried, you know?" Saying that, Ryan gently stroked the woman's large belly. The woman was about a decade younger than Ryan and me, probably in her 20s. She had curly brown long hair, flashy makeup, and a strong scent of perfume. The belly of the woman Ryan called Megan was large, and she seemed to be pregnant. "Nice to meet you, I'm Megan." As if to provoke me, Megan greeted me like that. When I stared at her big belly, Megan must have noticed my gaze. "Oh, I think you can tell by looking, but I'm pregnant. By the way, the baby is a boy." Saying that, she stuck out her belly as if to show it off to me. "Of course, I'm the father of the baby. She's due any day now. The baby will be born soon, so you and Lisa need to pack your things and get out of this house by then. We're getting a divorce. Ryan had always said he wanted a boy to be his heir. When I got pregnant and found out it was a boy, he was really happy. You're totally different from the useless you who can't even give birth to an heir. We don't need a housewife anymore." Ryan and Megan were chatting away as if they were enjoying themselves. "Hey, what's wrong? Are you so shocked you can't speak? Say something." When Ryan said that to me, I had been silent the whole time, but I quietly opened my mouth. "What have you two been saying? We're already divorced. I've been single since last week." At my unexpected words, Ryan and Megan made an expression as if they didn't understand for a moment, then laughed out loud. "What are you talking about? Have you lost your mind? I get that you're trying to act tough, but at least come up with a better lie. Really? It's sad that you're so confused. You're so shocked that you've gone crazy. You've been dumped by Ryan. Ryan chose me over you." Megan looked at my face with a triumphant expression. Just then, the front door swung open with a bang. Lisa had come home from club activities at just the right time. It's true. She must have been listening to our conversation from outside the entrance. Lisa interrupted our conversation and said loudly, "What Mom is saying is true. I've been starting a new life with Mom in a newly built high-rise condo since last week." "High-rise condo? What's wrong with you two? Are you dreaming?" Even after hearing Lisa's story, Ryan still thought it was a joke. I took out my phone from my bag, showed Ryan a certain photo, and said, "This person is the CEO of the company I work for. You know him, right?" "Huh. This person. Isn't he the CEO of one of our company's biggest clients? How did you get close to him? He's not someone a mere housewife like you can easily approach. What the hell did you use to get close to him?" Ryan said that as if I was some kind of con artist. I continued, "This person was a colleague at the company I used to work for. He started his own company a few years ago. He invited me to work with him again, so I joined the company I'm at now. I think you know this too, Ryan, but the company is doing well, and I've also benefited from that by being able to move into a high-rise condo. But this CEO is known for being difficult. It took months for our company to finally win him over. And you're saying you work for him? A woman with no redeeming qualities like you?" "Yes, that's right. I may be a woman with no redeeming qualities to you, but I've been given an executive position there and I'm working for them. Oh, by the way, the only reason your company was able to do business with us was because I asked the CEO. He wasn't actually that keen on it." "No way! That's a lie, right?" By the time I finished saying that, Ryan had a face as pale as if his soul had left his body. And Megan, who was standing next to him, had turned even paler. Megan, who had been silently listening to our conversation the whole time, looked like she might collapse to her knees at any moment, all the strength drained from her body. I told Megan something. Our CEO was so happy that he's gonna have a baby soon, but recently he started saying that he might not be the father. At first it seemed like just a suspicion, but he said recently it's turned into a conviction, and he seems pretty angry. Huh? What are you suddenly talking about? Ryan looked dumbfounded, not understanding, but Megan started trembling with a pale face. Huh, Megan? What's wrong? Are you okay? Are you not feeling well? No. I'm fine. It's nothing. Megan answered in a faint voice, and I said loudly as if to deal the final blow. Megan, you're a CEO's wife, aren't you? What? What are you saying? Stop joking around. I've never even seen this person before. As soon as Megan said that, the front door swung open forcefully. I knew it was here. The person who came in from the entrance was our company's CEO and Megan's husband. The CEO had suspected his wife Megan of cheating and had figured out that Ryan was the other man. When the CEO heard that I was going back home today to get my things, he had said he would head over later too. He probably thought his wife and Ryan would be there. You're the one who stole my wife. I know everything. Saying that, he yelled at Ryan angrily. Overwhelmed by the CEO's intimidating presence, Ryan started trembling. No, that's not it. I don't remember anything. Ryan's cowering was so unlike his usual self, who would swagger around in front of me. Unable to face the CEO, he lowered his head and trembled. Hey, Megan. Explain it properly yourself. The CEO said to Megan, getting worked up. Megan had been looking down awkwardly, but she must have thought there was no escape at this point. As if giving up, she took a deep breath and started speaking slowly. At first, this person was just for fun. I liked Ryan's face. When we got physical, we were sexually compatible, and I couldn't help but get attached. Hey! What are you saying? That's not true. I was just deceived by this woman. It seems she has other men besides me. I'm sure the baby isn't mine. If you investigate, you'll see. I'm not at fault. Thinking his position was worsening, Ryan suddenly pushed Megan away. Ryan had always put on a good face. He had probably been nice to Megan the whole time, but his true colors must have shown when he was cornered. How can you say you're not at fault after stealing someone's wife? The CEO's anger heated up at his wife being insulted. I thought he might get physically violent if we didn't stop him. The CEO's anger didn't subside after that, but for the time being, I had him take Megan home. It would be better for the couple to talk it out rather than the four of us talking here. After the two of them left, Ryan suddenly apologized to me. And what do you think he said? He asked me to retract the divorce. I was really just deceived. I was being blackmailed, told to take responsibility because she was pregnant. Ryan made excuses even at this point. Fed up, I said to Ryan coldly. Even if you say that now, I've already submitted the divorce papers. The divorce is finalized. Huh? When did I ever say I signed divorce papers? Are you saying you fabricated it? There's no way that would be accepted. What are you talking about? It was clearly written in your handwriting. It was among the papers you handed to me. I have proof. Saying that, I showed Ryan the divorce papers I had photographed on my phone. Ever since the day Ryan yelled at me for throwing away important papers, I had started checking the contents of the papers every time before disposing of them. One day, while checking the papers to be thrown out as usual, I found divorce papers that had already been filled out. He didn't seem to remember, but he probably wrote them when he was drunk and having a good time with Megan. I kept those divorce papers instead of disposing of them. I had been waiting for the right timing to submit the divorce papers. Someday, I would submit these divorce papers and be free from this house. I had been encouraging myself, telling myself that, even when things were tough. I had also consulted with Lisa about the divorce beforehand. To tell the truth, it was Lisa who first suggested divorce, even before me. Lisa had seen me being verbally abused by Ryan almost every day, and she had been suffering just as much as me. Divorce was probably the best plan for Lisa's sake too. Seeing the photo of the divorce papers written in his own handwriting, Ryan let out a voiceless cry, perhaps vaguely recalling the memory. "Mom, I've packed up all our stuff. Let's hurry back to our home." As Ryan and I were talking, Lisa came out of the room with luggage, saying that, "Well then, bye. We just came back today to get our things." Lisa said coldly to her father, "You're gonna be with that woman, right? Feel free. We're strangers now, so do whatever you want. Lisa and I will do as we please too. I'm done being treated like a housekeeper. From now on, I'm gonna live my own life." Saying that, Lisa and I left the house, leaving behind a dejected Ryan. Ryan didn't retort at all. He seemed to have no energy left to talk back. I thought I saw tears faintly flowing from Ryan's eyes. And so, Lisa and I started our new life with just the two of us in a high-rise condo. Later, I heard from the CEO about what happened with Ryan and Megan afterwards. They apparently did a DNA test to determine the baby's father. Ryan insisted until the end that he wasn't the father, but the test results showed that the baby was undoubtedly Ryan's child. Abandoned by the CEO and facing divorce, Megan tried to get Ryan, the father, to acknowledge the child and even showed up at Ryan's company, causing a commotion. The company seemed to have wanted to keep it hidden, but with Megan barging in, Ryan became the talk of the company. Of course, with this incident, he incurred the CEO's wrath, and the deal with our company was cancelled. Ryan angered the higher-ups and was transferred to a subsidiary in the countryside. However, Ryan, with his high pride, probably couldn't bear such treatment. In the end, he reportedly submitted his own resignation. Now, he can't hold down a new job anywhere and is apparently doing part-time work here and there. Ryan, who had never taken care of his parents before, is apparently having a hard time at home now that I'm gone. However, there's no one around him to help anymore. Meanwhile, Megan apparently moved to the countryside with her newborn child. She's currently working part-time at a produce market while barely getting by with her child. Ever since the divorce, the CEO has been throwing himself into work even more vigorously, as if to erase everything that happened. Thanks to the CEO's efforts, the company's performance is also rising rapidly. I am supporting such a CEO and working harder than ever. It feels like I've returned to the days when I used to work lively. Lisa says she wants to continue playing basketball in college, so she's busy with studying and club activities in preparation for the college entrance exams. Both Lisa and I are busier than ever, but as a parent and child bound by a deep bond, we are spending enjoyable days together, working as a team.